eliminating Colombia. Argentina, with 3 late goals, survived to beat Egypt 3-2. The World Cup is off Wednesday before the quarterfinals begin.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here it goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football. Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
And today we head down to the Grove. Tracy got an echo. And today we head down to the Grove to talk a little bit about the Ole Miss Rebels as we look at the Ole Miss Rebels here today in our season preview here for the SEC as we continue to count down and preview all of the teams here in the Southeastern Conference. We got the gentlemen hanging out with us here in the Tide 100.9 studios. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Just chilling. It's hot. How y'all doing?
Hot's a good word. I like hot.
Yeah,
it's hot. Y'all can't see me right now, but I'm still good.
Norris hanging out there in the no free advertisement, but they are really good. Yeah, Norris is hanging out in the corner like Batman over there. I mean, I feel like he's about to come in and take y'all out or something. Just hiding in the shadows right now.
He's waiting for a bad take.
Yeah.
I'm on my John Cena stuff. You can't see me.
Yeah.
Waiting on a bad take. We got plenty of those around here today as we talk Ole Miss football here. Led by head coach Pete Golding, his first full season as the head coach of the Rebels here. Ole Miss I've been looking forward to this one, guys, because of just everything that has happened with Ole Miss since the ending of the Egg Bowl, right, where they beat Mississippi State and Lane Kiffin. Poor Marty Smith was on Lane Kiffin watch for what felt like 72 hours. I mean, I don't know that guy shaved or showered or even did his hair. It looked like Sunday when all the announcements were made. Marty's hair was maybe not doing quite the best, but Marty Smith always looks incredible out there on television, even when he's not up to his standards. But we've got Pete Golding here. He led Ole Miss to 2 playoff victories in 3 playoff games last year. A victory over the Tulane Green Wave, G5 opponent that they had beaten in the regular season, and the Georgia Bulldogs in the Sugar Bowl, a team that they lost to in the regular season in Athens, and they'll get the Dogs again this season. We'll talk about the schedule here in the third segment as we continue to look at Ole Miss here, and then fell to Miami in the semifinal of the college football playoff. The Hurricanes go on to the national championship game, and Ole Miss is left to figure out, what do we do? What does this team look like? Who's going with Lane Kiffin? Who's staying here? Coaches, players, assistants, recruiting staff. Is the dog going to LSU? Is he staying at Ole Miss? And after all of that, we now have kind of a basis of what Ole Miss will look like next season. No Caden Lee. So thinking about last season, right? Austin Simmons starts the year as the starter. He gets injured. In comes Trinidad Chambliss, who's in the beautiful powder blue jersey here on this screen, here on the preview. And Trinidad Chambliss never loses that job again. Trinidad Chambliss takes over as the starter and officially becomes the starting quarterback at Ole Miss. Austin Simmons, he hits the portal. He's off to Columbia, Missouri. Caden Lee, starting wide receiver. He's gone now. Harrison Wallace, gone to the NFL draft. Dazon Stribling, gone to the NFL draft. Caden Lee's now a member of the Missouri Tigers as well. So even though you still have even though you still have Trinidad Chambliss, this Ole Miss offense is going to look very, very different from what it did last season here, gentlemen.
The more it changes, the more it stays the same, though, Wyatt. I mean, I feel like this offense has the capability to function at 90 to 95% of what they were able to do last year because of the two-headed monster that's in the backfield. I think if you polled 75% of people that tuned into the game against Miami in the college football playoff, if you would ask them to name an offensive skill player, not Trinidad Chambliss, not Kwan Lacey, they probably wouldn't have been able to do it. And that's the story for a lot of college teams. I mean, Indiana 16-0, one of the best seasons in the history of football. Most people can't name 3 of their wide receivers, 2 of their running backs.
Oh, I can't.
That's fair.
In college, it's about your guys and reloading. So they've got their guys in their 1-2 punch in the backfield. Can they reload?
That's the question for Ole Miss. And you mentioned Kewan Lacey, one of the best running backs in the SEC last season. I saw a fun stat today from Connor O'Gara, formerly of Saturday Down South, now doing some work with the next round here. He had over 300 carries last season, right, as a member of Ole Miss. Second leading rusher in the conference, led the conference in rushing touchdowns last year. The only other running back who had 300 carries in a single season, Derrick Henry in 2015. Or at least that was the last one that did it.
What are the numbers in that stat one more time?
I'm pulling it up here right now because I want to make sure I quote Connor correctly, because there's a but coming with this sentence here. So I want to make sure I get this stat correctly here. Connor O'Gara, partially of the next round, said last season Kewan Lacey got more carries than any SEC running back since 2015, Derrick Henry. He had 306.
Yep, that's accurate.
Just more carries than anybody since Derrick Henry.
Right, he's a bell cow, is what that says. He's a bell cow running back.
Yes, he
There's
is.
a but that comes with this. The last time an SEC running back returned to college after having that many carries in a single season was Madre Hill. He tore his ACL at the end of the 1995 season and missed 2 straight seasons after that.
So Kewan Lacey, while electric, while dynamic, maybe is in fear of being overused this year.
That is a point of concern.
They're going to need him. I mean, you talked about the receivers they lost. Trinidad Chambliss, as great as he is now. I watched American Gangster last night, a mafia movie, and when they're trying to find all the crime, or when they're trying to get all the bad guys, they throw them on a bulletin board, from most important to least. Trinidad Chambliss is going to be above the bulletin board. They're going to put his picture on the ceiling of the room. He's such a big deal.
If Ole Miss is on your schedule, Trinidad Chambliss is public enemy number 1.
No, right now, if I'm playing Ole Miss in the middle of October, it's the Ole Miss Trinidads. That's how I'm approaching film study that week. But he's your guy, but he can't do it all by himself. Kewan Lacey's going to get a workload this year. I mean, a workload.
So you look at the receivers that they had last season. This season, they're still going to be really good. I'd say that they're going to take a step back, though, at wide receiver this season. No disrespect to the guys on this roster. Deuce Alexander's back. Daryl Gill Jr. they added via the transfer portal, as well as Jonte Cook. But I feel like they're going to take a step back at receiver. Do we see Kewan Lacey getting this same level of work? Over 300 carries like he got last season. Now, keep in mind, they did play in 12 regular season games and 3 playoff games. So they played in 15 total games last season. A lot of those carries did come in the postseason. He dealt with a shoulder injury towards the back half of last season as well. Do we see Kewan Lacey getting this same level of work this season? Or does it increase because of the fact that, they've got a lot of work to do?
I say maybe he needs to catch more than 29 passes out of the backfield like he did last year. That seems like a good way to keep him involved, keep his dynamic ability on the field and in threat without also putting his legs in jeopardy. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey, who's injury prone, but injury prone as he is, if he weren't a guy that could go out and catch passes,
playing all 17 games.
If he were a guy that couldn't go out and catch passes, and you only added what he did in the receiving game to his production in the backfield, we would never see him. I mean, I'm under the opinion that guys that can get out of the backfield and catch passes and move in space are going to take a little bit less damage. They're not going to get as beat up running between the tackles. Maybe if Kewan Lacey learns how to be a pass-catching running back just as much as a running back.
So just like an all-over. They're gonna probably focus that whole offense around him, too, and think about it.
So I would say get him more active out of the backfield catching passes, and maybe you see him sustain less damage throughout the course of the season.
The last running back so we mentioned this, all right, and this is the stat again, courtesy of Connor O'Gara here. Keywan Lacey got more carries last season than any SEC running back since 2015, Derrick Henry. The last time a player got that many carries, 306, and came back in college was Madre Hill. He tore his ACL at the end of the 1995 season and missed the next 2 seasons. However, this is a threefold stat here. The last SEC running back to get that many carries and then immediately turn around and come back the next season and remain healthy was a guy by the name of Herschel Walker from 1981 to 1982. 1981, Herschel Walker, 385 carries, 1,891 yards, 18 touchdowns. Finished second in the Heisman Trophy voting. 1982, 335 carries, 1,752 yards, 16 touchdowns, Heisman Trophy winner. Maxwell winner, All-American, Campbell Award winner. So if he can stay healthy, same thing is, and the same thing goes with Ahmad Hardy if Ahmad Hardy does play this season. If these guys can remain healthy, we could be looking at an all-time season in terms of SEC running back play. Just out of these two.
I mean, we've talked about that for a long time now. I see no reason to turn back now. Not to mention, I mean, you've talked about it. Maybe 4 of the best 5 in the country are all in the same conference. For Keywan Lacey,
I think there's a really good chance that that's the case.
For Keywan Lacey to come out as the number 1 back out of that group, top 15 draft pick, top 20. But I still think he's got to learn to be more of a receiving back, given his size. He's not a big Jeremiah Love type. He's not a big Derrick Henry type, Saquon Barkley type that like has the body to run between the tackles 30 times a game in the NFL. Smaller guy, he needs to be more versatile out in open space where he can kind of get, tripped up instead of beaten into a pulp.
Like, if you also think about it, running backs don't last that long in the NFL either.
No. He's got to find a way to stay active. This year, just as much as in the NFL. He does.
Absolutely. And we look at the receivers here for Ole Miss. They returned Deuce Alexander, who had 684 yards and 2 touchdowns last season with the Rebels on 44 receptions. So he's another starter that you've got coming back here alongside Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss that you expect, okay, they understand the offense. They understand what we've built here at Ole Miss. You returned 4 offensive linemen from last season. You brought in Tommy Kinsler, the 4th, as a transfer at that right tackle spot. Luke Haas is back as your starting tight end after being there a season ago as well. You've still got some pieces on that offense. You've still got some really good pieces on that offense. You also brought in Darryl Gill Jr., a transfer from Syracuse who had 506 yards and 5 touchdowns with the Orange last season. And then you brought in Jonte Cook, who's been a bit of a head case type of player. Started his career at Texas, ended up at Syracuse, got kicked off Washington's team. But with Syracuse in 2025, he had 549 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you go pull 2 really good wide receivers out of New York and Syracuse there. And now you've got them in addition to Trinidad, in addition to Luke Haas, in addition to Deuce Alexander and Keywan Lacey. I don't know that I expect this Ole Miss offense to be the level it was last season with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Baker. No disrespect to John David Baker and Joe Judge. Those are the guys that are going to be leading this offense. John David Baker is the offensive coordinator. Joe Judge is the head coach of offense. I don't know what the hell that means. I have no idea what that means. And Pete Golding is the head coach, right? He's also got a defensive coordinator in Brian Brown, excuse me. I'm getting him confused with the Auburn quarterback. Brian Brown is assistant coach defensive coordinator for Ole Miss here. So maybe Pete Golding just decided, okay, if I'm the quote-unquote head coach of defense, I'm going to go get a guy and make him the head coach of offense. He's going to handle all of the situational things that we need to pay attention to on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm going to pay attention to all the situational stuff on the defensive side of the football.
Joe Judge is in the former Giants head coach, former Patriots special team coordinator?
That would be him.
Huh. The more you know.
Former Mac Jones offensive coordinator in New England. Remember they had co-OCs with Patricia and Joe Judge.
God, that was...
That was a disappointing year.
That it was.
But he is the quarterback's coach now in Oxford.
I trust him. He's a Belichick guy.
He's got the pedigree. He's got the work history to prove it, to back up his position there. So, all right, we talked offense here in this segment. We'll go ahead and take a timeout for the radio side of things here, and we will talk defense here in the next segment. A side of the ball that Pete Golding absolutely specializes in. And yes, they may have lost a guy like Prince William Allen to LSU. There's still some good players on this defense, and led by Pete Golding, one of the best defensive minds in the game right now. I could see Ole Miss being dangerous yet again on that side of the ball. So we'll talk about it on the other side here on Tide 100.
To tackle yard work with ease. Shop 4th of July savings on Ryobi Outdoor Power only at the Home Depot. While supplies last, pricing valid June 25th through July 8th. Use only. See store online for details.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we're going to feature Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst. We'll talk to Bruce Marshall, Las Vegas handicapper, and a lot more starting at 2 p.m. on the Wednesday edition of The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekday.
It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. Go to mylocalcustomers.com today.
That's mylocalcustomers.com. Mylocalcustomers.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sweltering sunshine here this afternoon at 93. Feeling closer to 100. Watch for a chance of thunderstorms. A westerly breeze. Tonight, clear and warm and muggy, 74. Dangerous heat continues Thursday and Friday with temperatures in the mid-90s. Heat index values between 100 and 105. Widespread heavy rain returns to the forecast on Sunday. Richard Weathing at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 90 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. We talked about the offensive side of the football in the previous segment. Now we move to Pete Golding's side of the football, the defense here. And now they did lose a very, very electric pass rusher in Prince William Allen. He is now off to LSU. Went alongside Lane Kiffin. I could be wrong, and if I am, everybody will let me know. I could be wrong. Didn't he originally announce his intention to remain at Ole Miss and then like 4 days later flip his script and decide to go to LSU?
Who's that?
Prince William Allen, the edge rusher.
That sounds right. I can't remember exactly.
There's a lot of guys that ended up doing something like that. Like Damon Williams, for example, at Washington. He announced he was going to stay. Like 4 days later, announced he was going to leave. Got in a legal battle with Washington and ended up staying at UW. And I know a couple of Ole Miss guys were kind of flirting with going to LSU with Lane Kiffin, ended up not.
I don't think you have to go outside of these two teams to find situations like that. Guys that said, I'm going to stay at Ole Miss. Okay, Lane Kiffin just sent me a text, never mind, I'm going. Or I'm going with Coach, and he can't guarantee that I'll start here, so I'm going to stay. A whole lot of probably situations of those where, like, it was announced.
Yeah.
But it wasn't announced, but somebody was going to go and stayed, or it wasn't announced, but they were going to stay, and then they announced that they were going to go.
I think you also had the burner verse on Twitter allegedly posted a video of like Lane Kiffin on the phone with Kewan Lacey saying, "Come here, you'll start. Like I'm going to put together an NIL package. We're going to get you to, and we're going to get you and Trinidad to come with me to LSU." And then Trinidad and Kewan Lacey both stay at Ole Miss. Again, this is alleged. This popped up on the burnerverse, which we get burned a lot of the times when we go there, but
it's still a fun place to be.
Nothing's better than the SEC burnerverse during football season, man. I remember the Auburn spaces during the Brian Harsin era. Whew, I don't know where Zoo is, but that brother was crashing out. He was so mad about that entire thing. Anyways, back to Ole Miss's defense here. It starts with Cam Franklin and Suntarine Perkins Jr. here. Two of the key guys on this roster here. Cam Franklin, junior defensive end, had 69 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and 15 quarterback hurries last season. Suntarine Perkins, one of the key, I would argue, probably the most important defender on this Ole Miss roster, was in a recruiting battle with Alabama. He ends up choosing Ole Miss over Alabama and a couple of others, and it's been one of the best decisions for Ole Miss football. He's had over 12 tackles for loss each of the last 2 seasons, 12.5 in 2025, 14 in 2024, 10.5 sacks in 2024, 4.5 in 2025. 12 quarterback hurries in 2025, 9 in 2024, 6 pass breakups in 2025. This is one of the best linebackers in the SEC this season. Suntarine Perkins.
Big deal for Pete Golding to be able to keep him. Big deal.
110%. Massive deal that they got to keep him. And then Will Eccles, a junior at defensive tackle here, originally from Houston, Mississippi. By the way, 11.5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks and 7 quarterback hurries and 7 passes swatted down last season for the Rebels here. The only other defender that they return is Antonio Kite, who had 34 total tackles, 5 pass breakups. The former Alabama product transferred his way to Ole Miss there with Pete Golding.
Feels very easy to just naturally assume that a Lane Kiffin Ole Miss team, the last several were just all offense, no defense. We're just going to go score 100. We don't care if you score 98. That's not the case. That's not the case. I mean,
they got some dudes.
Say what you want about Pete Golding. He can coach a defense. Of course, now he's going to have to do it as well as coaching an entire other side of the ball and special teams and recruit. But, I mean, he might be able to. And maybe defense is kind of like the focal point. This kind of turns into like a, just take it slow when I say this, a Kansas City Chiefs situation where we know the best player on this team is the quarterback and maybe not as tight end, but in this instance, his running back. We don't have the best wide receivers, but our quarterback's going to win us games while our defense keeps us in it until he has to type situation.
I don't hate the comparison. I don't hate that comparison between Ole Miss and Kansas City here. Now, Kansas City's had more success in recent history than Ole Miss has, but at the same time, though, like you mentioned, this Ole Miss team now, to me, like you mentioned, under Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss on the offensive side of the ball, it was very easy to just say, look, they're going to go hang 100. We got to go score 101 to beat them. Or we're going to hang 98, and they're still going to beat us by hanging 100 on us at this point, right? Not necessarily the case this year. This feels like a defense that can absolutely hold you under 20. And I'd say in the modern era of college football, you hold somebody under 20, you're probably going to win 9-10 football games every single year. And if you have one really, really good year where you're holding, instead of holding people under 20, you're holding them under 15, suddenly you're a national championship contender at that point. Yeah, you're ring hunting at that point. If you have a down year, right, it may not be you're holding people under 20, but you're holding people under 25, 26 points, right? Your points per game on defense is under 26. And I think if you're at that level right now in the state of college football, with how prolific these offenses are with the quarterbacks and the receivers and the fact that offenses seem to get bigger, better, faster, stronger every single season, if you can coach defense the way that a Pete Golding does, a Kane Womack does, you may give up yards, but you're not giving up points. When you get to the red zone, you clamp down defensively and you don't allow scores in the red zone. That kind of feels like what Pete Golding's defensive philosophy has been. Say what you want about the flack he got at Alabama, right? He was a longtime defensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa, 2019, 2020, 21, 22. He was the defensive coordinator for at least 4 seasons, and I think he was co-DC in 2018 as well with Tosh Lupoy. So 5 years of commanding the Nick Saban defense or co-running a Nick Saban defense. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of learning that Pete Golding got under one of the best defensive minds in college football. Had an incredible run from the fourth quarter of the Ole Miss game in 2020. Ignore the second half of the SEC championship against Florida. Everything after the fourth quarter of the Ole Miss game in 2020, Pete Golding was on another level with that Alabama defense. Now, very easy to be on another level when you've got the guys that Alabama had running around in that 2020 defense. But even still, you got some dudes on this Ole Miss defense here, and that's just the returning guys. That's not even bringing up the fact that they brought in Keaton Thomas, a redshirt senior transfer, as their will linebacker here. And if this stat sheet would pull up here, I'll tell you where he transferred from. We also brought in Luke Farrelly, the transfer from Clemson. They got a little bit of hot water over him, but at the end of the day, not too bad. Keaton Thomas from Baylor, the linebacker there, 7 tackles for loss, a sack, a quarterback hurry, an interception, as well as 3 pass breakups last season there. So their linebacking core, Keaton Thomas, Luke Farrelly, Jalen Crawford, they all were transfers. And Jalen Crawford came from Auburn, who we know had a really damn good defense last season, despite the fact that they couldn't score to save their life. They couldn't run their way out of a paper bag last season. Defensively, that was what kept that Auburn team together for a lot longer than I think it should have been.
You say, he learned a lot from Nick Saban when it came to coaching a defense, but seems to have carried on the tampering tradition over at Ole Miss. How much did he keep from Lane Kiffin? Maybe not from an offensive coaching perspective, but how to run a program perspective.
Yeah, they may have tampered with Luke Farrelly there. Originally transferred from Cal, spent a week on Clemson's campus, and then finds his way to Ole Miss there. Still, hell of a linebacker. 91 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, a sack, quarterback hurry, an interception, and a pass breakup. Say what you want about how Ole Miss got him. Ole Miss has got him. He's like, if you play the Rebels, you have to game plan against Luke Farrelly now. When you look at the Ole Miss defense here, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get it doesn't seem like they're going to get punished for what happened there. So maybe isn't quite the end of the world there when it comes to that. I mean, do we really think every program's been running things all spick and span, squeaky clean? I mean, Jeremy Pruitt got in trouble for handing out McDonald's bags full of cash at Tennessee. Michigan, the with the advanced scouting scandal up in Ann Arbor there. Every national championship team is going to have some version of a scandal around them because everybody hates to see you win. Everybody hates to see you succeed, right? And you may have done it, you may not have done it, but everybody's going to have some version of a scandal out there. Like Indiana, for example, right? They had a safety that was ruled ineligible by the NCAA this past season. Well, they go get a temporary injunction. They go get a local judge to say, nah, he's eligible, he can play. And he was a key piece of that Indiana national championship team. Now, there's going to be salty people around the world and around the sport that say, yeah, he shouldn't have been playing. Yeah, that's an asterisk national title. Nah, they shouldn't have gotten that. They shouldn't have won that. Vacate all their wins. Same thing with Michigan. I'm sure they've said that about Alabama's title in 2020, right? It was COVID year. It didn't really matter. You didn't play certain opponents. Ohio State only played 6 games and barely got into their conference championship game. At the end of the day, who's hoisting the trophy? Because they went out and won the game. You can put as many asterisks on it as you want. At the end of the day, we still recognize that team as the national champion. At the end of the day, we still know that game got played, and we still know who was the better team on the field that day. So if Ole Miss wins a national championship, they'll stick an asterisk on it because of Luke Farrelly. Nobody's going to care once we get to next March and spring practice rolls back around and we're back doing this again.
Not to mention, back to Ole Miss's receivers, I could say the same thing about Luke Farrelly if the Ole Miss Rebels play in a college football playoff semifinal game or even a national championship. 30% of the viewers, max, will know who Luke Farrelly is and what the deal is.
Yep.
People will have something new to talk about 2 days later anyway.
Yep, you're exactly. There's going to be some scandal. Somebody gets fired. A team that, maybe a team that was really, that was highly anticipated to do something like an SMU suddenly is a bottom feeder, a dumpster fire, and Rhett Lashley's out the door.
Not to mention, are we going to have time to talk about Luke Farrelly when we're in the middle of a new Brendan Sorsby issue next February?
Probably not.
Okay, then.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's going to be some quarterback that hits the portal that gets $6 million, and we're going to all overreact to that. Oh, this team's now a national championship contender just because they got this one kid. Last I checked, 22 players play on a football field. 22 starters are on a football team. Not 1, not 5 like basketball, 22. You probably play upwards of 50 to 60 kids every single season, 50 to 60 players every single season. If one player's that good, I don't know that you could put Tom Brady on one of these teams. And yeah, they may go undefeated, but his defense has still got to show up. The 11 guys on the defensive side of the ball have got to make stops to give Tom Brady a chance to go out and win a football game, right? Because if you're just going shot for shot, stride for stride, point for point, at some point you're going to fail.
In order to push the Aaron Rodgers narrative, I have to also push the agenda that Tom Brady's defense kept him in a lot of those Super Bowls. But defense also lost him a couple. He put up 450 passing yards against the Eagles in Super Bowl 52, lost. Had one of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time. Their defense let a receiver pin the ball against his helmet for a first down. If they make that pass breakup, Tom Brady's the second quarterback to ever champion an undefeated football team in the NFL. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You can score 100. You got to get a stop at some point.
And at some point you got to stop the other team, whether that be, they've scored every possession and suddenly they're going for 2 for the win and you finally get the one stop. All you need is one stop. That's all you need when you've got an offense like what Pete Golding and Ole Miss have. I got a feeling defensively they're going to be making a lot more than just one stop per game. They're going to be a formidable team to face this season here in college football. We'll go ahead and take another time out here for the radio side of things. And when we come back on the other side, we will take a look at the Ole Miss schedule here on the Deep South College Football.
Ready to experience something new? All Trails helps you find your next hike. Whether you're looking for something nearby or planning a trip, read reviews from real people like you to choose your trail and know what to expect. You can also download the map in case service gets spotty. Plan and experience your next hike with All Trails, the app for exploring the outdoors. Download it today and find your outside.
Pain and more. No referral, no problem. Search DCH Spine Care on Google. DCH's Spine Care Center. Get back in the game.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we're going to feature Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst. We'll talk to Bruce Marshall, Las Vegas handicapper, and a lot more. Starting at 2 p.m. on the Wednesday edition of The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
From free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Need your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide football.
Alabama touchdown.
Only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We're talking the Ole Miss Rebels here on the Deep South College Football Show. New head coach Pete Golding, who's already got a 2-0 record with the Rebels here 2-1 record, with the Rebels after leading them through the college football playoff last season. So he's now in his first full season as Ole Miss's head coach here. And you look at the schedule here, now that we got the schedule pulled up here, and we'll go through it by game here. They're going to play Louisville on a neutral field in Nashville, Tennessee on Sunday, September the 6th. That's a college football opening weekend. They're the night game on that Sunday. I'm tapped in. I'm locked into that one. You've got two of the best running backs in the country that are going to be going head-to-head with Isaac Brown and Keywan Lacey. And, again, by the way, Trinidad Chambliss plays football for the Ole Miss Rebels here. So could be a really, really fun squad there that we get to watch.
Nice little warm-up for Sunday night football starting the week after. Kind of get you ready.
You also got a Monday night game.
If you're a big NFL fan, maybe use this game against Louisville to get geared up for Sundays. Relax after
wets the whistle a little bit.
Yep. Relax after getting your toes wet from week one for the first time. Maybe if you stuck your feet a little too far in, went under, come back up, sit on the couch, enjoy some college football Sunday evening, get the day off the next day because it's Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend.
Man, I'm excited.
Other people get that Monday off. We do not, because that is the Monday following week one of the college football season here. By the way, Louisville, Lincoln Kindholtz, projected starter at quarterback for Louisville, competed with Julian Sayin last season at Ohio State. If you believe the reports out of Columbus, this battle may have been a little bit closer than I think a lot of people wanted to give it credit for. So maybe Lincoln Kindholtz has got something to him. Charlotte in week 2, LSU week 3. the Magnolia Bowl, Lane Kiffin's first return to Oxford, Mississippi. We don't need to hype this game anymore. This is going to be the biggest college football game of the season. It is bigger than the game. It is bigger than Red River. It is bigger than the Iron Bowl. It is bigger than any game that we will play in the regular season.
This year,
it's
yes.
week 3. It's week 3, Ole Miss LSU.
It gets a pass up to the Iron Bowl, up to the game, up to Red River. It is the Iron Bowl and the game all in one for one time, for 1 year.
Yeah, one shot only. That's the thing too. If this game were in Baton Rouge, I don't think it'd have near as much hype as it does right now. But the fact that it's Lane Kiffin going back to Oxford a season after leaving that program the way he did.
I mean, the body's not even cold yet, and he's already making his way back. It is going to be hostile.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be hostile.
Good.
It's going to be.
Good luck getting a ticket if you try to go to that one.
Yeah, expensive and hectic.
Extra security, expensive, hectic, a night game in a small stadium.
It's going to be hot.
Chirping, fighting.
People are
September in northern Mississippi,
Oh, my God. People are going to be
chirping, fighting,
drinking. It's going to be a fun atmosphere.
Players going to be aiming for heads.
Oh, yeah. Alabama's the 2:30 game that day. And so Alabama plays, Florida State that day. So we're the 2:30 game that we'll have to cover. You best believe when Alabama's done, the first thing I am doing before Kalen DeBoer even takes the lectern after the game against Florida State, I'm going to have that iPhone pulled up on my streaming service that I'm watching this game on. And LSU Ole Miss, I'm not missing a second of that game.
It's go time.
I'm not missing a single second of that game. Week 4, you go to Gainesville. You go to Florida for the new look Gators there. A back-to-back road trip with a bye in the middle. September 26th at Florida. The next week is a bye, and then it's Saturday, October the 10th. You go to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt and the Commodores there in Nashville. The only games that we have at kickoff times for Ole Miss here, as you can see, if you're checking us out on YouTube here, 6:30 against Louisville, night game. 6:45 against Charlotte, night game. 6:30 against LSU, night game. 3 straight night games to start the season for Ole Miss here. Now, the back end of the season, 11 a.m. against Wofford on the SEC Network Plus. Okay, whatever. Mississippi State at 11 a.m., the Egg Bowl. That game's always frisky, but I don't know what Mississippi State's going to be able to do this season in Oxford. It's like when Alabama and Auburn play, right? In Tuscaloosa, you feel pretty confident picking Alabama. You flip that script, and you go to Jordan-Hare Stadium, now suddenly people aren't as confident in picking Alabama. It's the same way with the Egg Bowl, right? In Oxford, I feel really good about picking Ole Miss. We go to Starkville, and suddenly I'm getting a little nervous. I'm getting a little nervous with an Ole Miss pick. I think maybe it's Ole Miss, but Mississippi State's going to cover the spread down there in Starkville. But in Oxford, Ole Miss all the way here. Going back to the chronological order of the regular season here, October 17th, they get Missouri at home. Could be a battle of the 2 best running backs in college football if Ahmad Hardy's playing, if Keywan Lacey and Ahmad Hardy are both healthy and continuing what they put on tape last season. 2 phenomenal running backs. I wouldn't be shocked if they're RB1 and 2 in the NFL draft. As of right now, I think they are, with some combination of Jaden Baugh, Nate Frazier, and Isaac Brown kind of just populating the rest of it.
Until one of those other guys have a better season, they're 1 and 2.
So one of those other guys rushes for 1,200 yards, 1,100 yards in a single season, which Isaac Brown got close to as a freshman. I'm taking Ahmad Hardy and Keywan Lacey over anybody else in the country. October 24th. At Texas. Hello. That's a get-up game right there. Sandwiched right in the middle of 2 home games, too. Like that, you get up for that Texas game because this is going to be monumental. Offensive mind of Steve Sarkisian versus defensive mind of Pete Golding, not to mention probably 1 and 2 in the SEC in the quarterback race, and Trinidad Chambliss and Arch Manning right now. So you get the quarterback storyline. You get you get the head coaching storyline. You get Ole Miss going to DKR Stadium over there in Austin. Could be a lot of fun. Could be a lot of fun on October 24th. And then Halloween night, Auburn. How are we feeling about that one? Auburn's a weird team to play at that point in the year.
I'm feeling like I am happy as hell that I have Auburn on Halloween, not on the road.
Oh, God. Could you imagine if they go on the road to that one?
That place would start like...
It'd levitate.
Yes.
I legit think the field would levitate
They would
at that
play
point.
the game above sea level.
Yes, 110%. You open the month of November, really tough opening to the month of November here. November 7th, Georgia, who's a lot of people's pick to go win the SEC this season. Probably is one of, we're not quite done with our previews here, but if you've been tracking, kind of keeping track of where I've got teams based on records here, I have Georgia 11-1. I have Georgia 11-1. So kind of difficult to not see that team in the SEC championship game, but this is a pivotal matchup for Ole Miss here. You lost to them in Athens last year. You beat them in the Sugar Bowl. The last time they came to Oxford, you beat them. And now they got to come back to Oxford. What's that game going to look like? And then a week later, you go to Norman, Oklahoma, and face the Sooners for the second straight season on the road, by the way. I didn't realize this. Yeah, they go to Oklahoma in back-to-back seasons. So they got to go to Norman here. A game where last season was kind of back and forth a little bit. John Mateer, that was really kind of when we first saw him look like the old John Mateer prior to the thumb and the ankle injury. I find a way to bring up John Mateer in every show. But you get Oklahoma on the road. Brent Venables, you won there last season. So you know Oklahoma's going to be circling that game and saying, hey, we can't let them beat that. We can't let them beat us in our house in back-to-back seasons here. And then I mentioned these two games here as well. Wofford and Mississippi State. Wofford, Mississippi State, Egg Bowl. It's always a lot of fun to get to watch that. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. Always is, always should be the Friday after Thanksgiving there. You're eating, you're recovering from your food coma from Thursday. Friday, you're eating your leftovers. Make you a nice little turkey and gravy sandwich. Stuck a little dressing in the middle there, and then just sit back, relax, because you know you're going to have a lot of fun watching Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
I had a great time at Thanksgiving last year. Love my family, love my friends that came over. It was a really awesome experience, like it always is.
A sandwich one.
The plate that I made Friday night, watching Georgia Tech. I'm telling you, I built about 2 hours of my Friday afternoon working towards the mindset of making that plate. And the Thanksgiving leftovers were spread between 3 houses. I had to go to my grandma's house, get the meat and the stuffing and whatever else. Then I had to go back over to my uncle's house who lives beside me to get his daughter's mac and cheese. And I finally came home, topped it off with a roll, grabbed my beverage, put it in the microwave, and I had fourth quarter Georgia Tech right in front of my eyes.
That's the way you do it.
It was, I felt connected.
Look at us already talking about the Rockets just red glared, and we're already talking about Thanksgiving here. The bombs just burst in the air.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll come back on the other side, wrap up the loose ends for the radio side, and get you ready for the game with Ryan Fowler right here on Tide 100.9.
West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The DCH Health System has hired a veteran University of Alabama police officer to help lead security operations at its Northport Medical Center. An Aliceville man has been charged with human trafficking and multiple counts of child sex abuse in Pickens County, with court records indicating the alleged offenses involved a minor victim and spanned years. And the Tuscaloosa Police Department is bringing back its popular and free Popsicles in the Park event, giving families a chance to cool down and meet local police later this month. For the details on these stories and more free coverage of local news, get connected at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we're going to feature Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst. We'll talk to Bruce Marshall, Las Vegas handicapper, and a lot more, starting at 2 p.m. on the Wednesday edition of The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa, The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays.
Thousands off new and pre-owned at Tuscaloosa, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. TuscaloosaCDJR.com.
And no tax, right, sir?
Well,
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sweltering sunshine here this afternoon at 93. Feeling closer to 100. Watch for a chance of thunderstorms. A westerly breeze. Tonight, clear and warm and muggy, 74. Dangerous heat continues Thursday and Friday with temperatures in the mid-90s. Heat index values between 100 and 105. Widespread heavy rain returns to the forecast on Sunday. Richard Weathing at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 91 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
We got about 3 minutes left in the program here on the Deep South College Football Show, so we'll go ahead and give our record predictions here for Ole Miss. Whitman, I'll throw up the schedule for the gentlemen here so that way we've got it as a point of reference. What do you have Ole Miss doing in 2026?
I see 3-0. I see 3-0.
3-0, okay.
And if they can get to 3-0, they can get to 5-0.
I like this.
If they can get to 5, they can get to 6.
So you have Ole Miss undefeated heading into Austin, Texas.
I don't see a win at Texas.
Okay.
9-3. Texas,
9-3.
Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma.
Wow. What a start for the Rebels, and just sputter down the stretch.
I don't even know.
So you have them going 3-3 in the final month of the season, or in the final half, or in the back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, at Texas and at Oklahoma, beating Oklahoma in Norman 2 years in a row, that seems unlikely.
It's a tall ask.
And I mean, how many times has Texas been beat at home in the last 2 years? Once.
Yeah.
So
I believe the next round posted it. Texas is tied for this, or Texas has the second best record in the SEC since joining the conference. Ole Miss and Georgia are tied at number 1.
Well, Alabama's only lost one conference game or one home game since they joined.
No. This is total. This is total record since Texas and Oklahoma joined the conference.
Total record, not just total conference.
Georgia and Ole Miss have 23 wins. Texas, I believe, is at 21. The next round posted this, and I don't have time to pull it up. And Alabama, right, I think, is one spot behind them.
But it's just 3 tough draws in the back half of the season at Texas, Georgia, and at Oklahoma. And like I said, maybe I lean Ole Miss if they didn't just go beat them at home last year. I think fair. Oklahoma's going to have a lot of juice in the tank for that one, and they're going to come out hot with a point to prove.
Chase, what you got the Rebels doing here in 2026?
I'm going to go... Man, it's hard. I'll go with 9-3 right now. I agree with you. I think later down the stretch, it'll be really interesting, especially when you have Mississippi State. I think that's always an interesting one now that Lane's not there anymore. I think Pete hasn't had that, like, oh shoot, this is the rivalry, this is in your hands, so that's interesting. Oklahoma, and obviously with Texas, like, that'll be an interesting one. So 9-3.
If they get over the LSU hurdle, they will be 6-0 heading into Austin. They hit that first loss in Austin. I'm with Whitman on that. I think they beat Georgia again. That's the one loss I've got for Georgia, is on the road in Oxford.
Did it 2 years ago.
And immediately coming off that high, the emotions of that game, they go and drop in Norman, Oklahoma. A week later on the road, they go to Norman. Oklahoma's got that game circled. Ole Miss is coming off a physical, emotional game against Georgia, a team that they've started to maybe develop a quote-unquote rivalry with just because of how much they've played over the last 2 seasons here. Emotional game. They drop it to Georgia. Wofford, again, whatever. And Mississippi State in Oxford. I like picking Ole Miss in that game there. So I've got them 10-2, 7-2 in conference play. Whitman, you've got them 9-3. 6-3 in conference play? Same thing, Chase, 6-3 in conference play? All righty. That's our record prediction for the Ole Miss Rebels here in 2026. Coming up next, the game with Ryan Fowler right here on Tide 100.9 from 2 until 6 p.m. Martin Houston kicks us off at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning here on Tide 100.9.